Welcome to a world of duplication, of repetition and multiplication. It can be very efficient. But what about when having two of a kind is just a drain?
You've got double red tape, duplicating red tape for businesses.
When duplication isn't wanted at all. It's something the pharmaceutical industry is reflecting on. AstraZeneca's 100-acre Macclesfield campus is the UK's largest manufacturing site. Being ready for a no-deal Brexit means replicating some of the labs, technology and jobs that are here inside the European Union. The government says it is going to ramp up preparations for a no-deal Brexit. But pharmaceuticals companies have been preparing for a long time. 45 million packs of medicine go from the UK to the EU every month, and 37 million packs travel in the opposite direction. The challenge is to keep that medicine flowing. The European regulator has told all companies that from next April they should be ready for no deal. The UK has only said that it will be pragmatic, but it's certainly churning up how the industry does business.
If we have a no deal or a hard Brexit, what we need to do is duplicate all of the testing for products that come into the UK from the EU and vice versa, products that leave the UK into the EU. We need to change and replicate a series of analytical methods. We need to change the packaging that people recognise that goes with it. So there are a huge amount of individual activities that underpin the main priority, which is that patients continue to get their medicines in a post-Brexit environment.
No deal would suggest that UK tests are no longer valid in Europe and vice versa. That could require duplicating tests and key members of staff within Europe, as well as transferring or replicating the regulatory licences for medicines. Duplicating legal paperwork and labs like these is complicated and time-consuming. And industry sources have told us that for some products, all the work may just not get done in time. The European regulator has already expressed serious concerns.
We've been actively working to ensure that we can duplicate our testing, that we can move our products through the borders in the event of a hard Brexit and a particular product that we couldn't complete all of those complex activities in time for, then we would ask for a specific time extension from those regulatory authorities.
Have the regulators indicated as yet that they would be flexible in that way?
We've certainly made those requests of the regulatory authorities, yes.
Duplication, uncertainty, mounting costs. It could raise other questions if the UK finds itself left out of the crowd.
It may mean that if you have the choice between a large market, say the EU 27 and the UK, you'll prioritise, if you're a Japanese or an American company, the EU 27 over the UK, which is now 2% of the globe's market for pharmaceuticals.
The government's plans include regulatory alignment with Europe, but that isn't enough for companies to stop their work.
We have to carry on regardless. Developments in the political process are helpful. In the last few days we've just seen the UK, in a sense, trying to agree with itself, which is what we've seen really for the last 6 months. We need progress of that then to engage with the European negotiators and then hopefully come to some form of agreement.
It is frustrating and a waste of time to have to do things more than once. But for smaller companies, it can really hold things back. About an hour away from AstraZeneca and across the Welsh border is Quay Pharma. It has about 130 people to Astra's 3,500 up the road. Quay helps other companies get their medicines into dosable form. It then makes and supplies drugs for clinical trials all over the world. But if there's a no-deal Brexit, those drugs might need to be tested and released into Europe by someone else.
At the moment, we're looking for companies who actually have similar analytical testing capabilities to us. We do hopefully the manufacturing still here in the UK. They will physically test the product in Europe, and then a responsible person in Europe will then also sign the product off in Europe and release it. It's quite frustrating because it means that we're doing a lot of the innovative and creative science here, but then we're handing that knowledge over to competitors in Europe.
That means extra costs for the company and its customers. Recruitment and plans to build a new lab in Wales are on hold. That's in case Quay needs to build its own European facility. And the uncertainty means it's losing out elsewhere too.
In the last 18 months, we've lost about £2 million worth of business, which maybe to a big company isn't a big impact, but for us that's massive. That's then compounded by the fact that those companies would typically have worked with us for between 3, maybe 5 years to continue doing the work going through to clinical trial. So that could have added up to maybe 10, 12 million over the next 5 years.
Thousands of drugs, millions of patients. Drug companies would like an early agreement that both sides will recognise each other's rules and tests. Without that, companies must double down on plans for doubling up.